Ford is facing a new crisis as its stock tumbles to the lowest point in a year, hitting $7.89 earlier today.
For more than a century, Ford has sold Americans a promise of strength, of reliability, of machines built to last through storms, job sites, and generations. The Ford name became more than a brand, it became a symbol of American toughness. But today, that symbol is under attack, not from competitors, not from the market, but from inside its own walls. Ford's stock has plunged to its lowest point in over a year. Billions of dollars in value have vanished. And now, a former employee has stepped forward with claims so explosive they threaten to rewrite everything the public believes about one of the world's most iconic automakers. According to this whistleblower, Ford didn't just miss a defect. It buried it. Engineers warned, reports were edited, data disappeared, and trucks that should never have left the factory were pushed into production anyway. This wasn't a single mistake. It wasn't a rogue manager. And it wasn't an accident. The allegations describe something far darker, a corporate culture that treated safety as an obstacle and truth as a liability, a system that rewarded silence, punished honesty, and protected profits at any cost. Now the consequences are unfolding in real time. Massive recalls, warranty losses in the billions, investors fleeing, regulators circling, dealers drowning in inventory, and customers walking away from a brand they once trusted with their lives. The question isn't whether Ford made errors. The question is whether the company built an entire strategy around hiding them. Who approved these decisions? Who erased the warnings? And how many drivers were placed in danger without ever knowing the risks they were taking? This is not just a story about a truck defect. This is the story of how a global giant may have sacrificed its integrity, and how that choice is now tearing the company apart. And it all begins with the man who decided he could no longer stay silent. Real quick, if you're into videos that cut through the noise and break things down clearly, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps more people find this. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's a good time. We've got more deep dives coming your way. Also, drop a comment and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your take. Now onto the video. He wasn't a senior executive. He wasn't a public face of the company. And until recently, no one outside Ford knew his name. But for more than a decade, this mid-level engineering lead worked deep inside Ford's truck division, helping design, test, and approve the very vehicles that built the company's reputation. He believed in the brand, he believed in its mission, and for years he trusted the process. That trust collapsed when he began seeing the same troubling pattern repeated again and again. According to his testimony, Ford engineers regularly flagged trucks that failed stress tests, showed electrical instability, or revealed structural inconsistencies. These were not minor cosmetic flaws, they were performance failures, problems that could compromise steering, power delivery, or system reliability under heavy load, the kinds of defects that could put drivers at serious risk. But instead of halting production, the whistleblower says management chose a different path. He claims safety reports were rewritten, inspection logs were altered, internal emails were edited to remove references to failures, entire data tables were allegedly deleted. Engineers who refused to sign off on questionable builds were reassigned, sidelined, or quietly removed from projects. The message, he says, was clear. Production targets came first. Everything else was secondary. When he personally refused to approve a batch of F-Series trucks with known inconsistencies, he says he was threatened with reassignment. The trucks were approved anyway. The fixes, he was told, could come later. Profits could not wait. Inside the company, he describes an environment where raising concerns felt like betraying the team. Truth became a threat. Silence became survival. For years he wrestled with what he knew. But when he saw colleagues lose their positions for questioning decisions and watched the same defect reappear across multiple vehicle lines, he realized the issue was no longer isolated. It was systemic. Eventually, he gathered internal files, communications, and test records. Documents, he claims, prove that leadership knowingly pushed defective trucks into production. And then he did the unthinkable. He stepped forward. When his allegations became public, they sent shockwaves through the industry. Ford's carefully crafted image of durability and trust began to crack. Customers started asking questions, journalists began digging, and investors for the first time wondered whether the numbers they'd trusted were built on a foundation of silence. But what the whistleblower revealed next would take the scandal far beyond a single employee. What the whistleblower revealed next changed the story from corporate misconduct to something far more dangerous. According to internal documents he claims to have preserved, Ford engineers had identified a recurring failure inside thousands of F-Series trucks, a flaw so severe it was given its own internal code name. This was not a cosmetic issue or a minor glitch. It was a system-level instability buried inside the electrical architecture of the vehicle. Under heavy load, towing, hauling, or driving at highway speeds, the trucks could experience sudden power loss, unpredictable steering assist dropouts, or in extreme cases, complete electronic shutdown. Drivers would see dashboards go dark, steering would feel stiff and unresponsive. In some incidents, vehicles lost propulsion without warning. Engineers flagged the pattern repeatedly. Management, the whistleblower claims, responded not with recalls but with reclassification. Failure data was allegedly relabeled as non-critical variants. Entire tables showing repeat breakdown cycles were removed from reports. Emails instructed teams to describe the incidents as isolated rather than systemic. The problem, insiders were told, was not the trucks, it was how the data was being framed. Engineers who continued to press the issue were sidelined. Some lost their roles. Others were transferred to departments far from safety review. The defect did not disappear. It was simply hidden behind revised language and filtered metrics. As production continued, those trucks rolled off assembly lines and into dealerships across the country. Customers believed they were buying the strongest, safest pickup in America. Inside Ford, some engineers believed they were sending out vehicles that could fail without warning. When early complaints emerged, power losses during towing, dashboards going dark at highway speeds, Ford publicly denied any widespread issue. Patterns, the company said, did not exist. But once the whistleblower's files were released, the picture changed. The defect was real, the suppression was real, and Ford could no longer contain the story. What followed next was not an apology, but a flood. When a company recalls nearly 400,000 vehicles in a matter of weeks, it is no longer routine maintenance. It is a collapse in confidence. After the whistleblower's allegations became public, Ford triggered one recall after another, each echoing the very warnings that had been dismissed internally for years. Hybrid models were recalled for overheating batteries that posed fire risks. Luxury SUVs were flagged for failing safety sensors. Diesel trucks faced fuel pump failures that could seize at full speed. And the heart of Ford's empire, the F-Series trucks, were pulled back for electrical failures that mirrored the whistleblower's claims almost exactly. Dealerships descended into chaos. Entire shipments were withdrawn before reaching showroom floors. Sales teams watched customers walk in excited and walk out alarmed. Some dealers said their lots resembled storage yards for broken promises. Rows of unsellable trucks waiting for parts that Ford could not deliver quickly enough. The recalls revealed something far more troubling than a single bad component. The defect was systemic. It was embedded across multiple models and years of production. Analysts called it a crisis of confidence. The media called it a slow-motion meltdown. But Wall Street saw something even more destructive, proof that Ford's internal controls had failed. Once the recalls began stacking up, trust evaporated. Consumers questioned the safety of vehicles they already owned. Resale values dropped. Insurance providers raised premiums. What Ford had tried to hide now stood in full view of the public. And as the headlines spread, investors realized that the damage was not limited to the factory floor. It was about to reach the balance sheet. The moment the scandal hit Wall Street, the response was brutal. Investors who once defended Ford began dumping shares at a pace not seen in decades. The company's stock fell sharply, reaching its lowest point in over a year, as billions of dollars in market value vanished in days. Analysts who had long supported the automaker revised their guidance. Financial networks highlighted the contrast. While the broader market climbed, Ford plunged. Commentators labeled the company a disappointment. Institutional investors agreed. They no longer trusted the numbers. They no longer trusted the leadership. Pension funds reduced exposure. Hedge funds exited completely. Research firms described Ford using words no manufacturer wants attached to its name: unpredictable, opaque, and high risk. The whistleblower's evidence raised a devastating question. If safety data had been manipulated, could financial data be trusted either? When Wall Street loses confidence, collapse is immediate. Ford's troubles were no longer framed as a defect issue. They became a credibility crisis. Investors began treating the company not as a legacy giant, but as a liability. And as devastating as the market reaction was, it only hinted at the deeper problem. Because the forces that created this scandal had been building for years inside Ford's corporate culture. By the time the whistleblower stepped forward, the damage was already deeply embedded inside Ford's decision-making system. What began as isolated compromises had quietly evolved into a corporate culture that prioritized momentum over accountability. Employees across departments described an unspoken rule: nothing could slow production. Not a failed test, not a safety concern, not even a defect that could put drivers at risk. Engineers responsible for reviewing components said pressure to approve parts was constant. When electrical irregularities or frame tolerances outside approved ranges appeared, the data was often reinterpreted rather than investigated. Reports were softened, language was adjusted, charts were removed. Meetings that should have triggered urgent review instead ended with instructions to stay focused, a phrase many came to understand as a signal to move on without asking more questions. Over time, transparency eroded. Problems that should have been addressed at their earliest stages were quietly absorbed into the system. Managers treated delays as threats to quarterly targets, not as warnings to fix deeper flaws. The longer the silence continued, the harder it became to admit the truth. Each suppressed report became another liability waiting to surface. Analysts had warned for years that Ford's biggest weakness was not its products, but its resistance to openness. Abrupt factory halts, confusing guidance statements, and unexplained delays raised concerns the company rarely clarified. Instead of confronting these issues publicly, Ford absorbed losses quietly, hoping no one would notice. This culture of concealment allowed minor failures to grow unchecked. Small defects became systemic risks. By the time leadership could no longer ignore the scale of the problem, it had already spread across multiple vehicle lines. The rot was no longer hidden, it was structural, and the cost of that culture soon appeared where it hurt most: the balance sheet. Ford was not fixing problems, it was paying for them. As hidden quality failures accumulated, the financial consequences detonated with staggering force. Warranty costs surged far beyond historical averages, draining resources that should have fueled innovation and long-term growth. Company filings showed that warranty expenses had more than doubled compared to long-term norms after 2022. In the second quarter of 2024 alone, Ford recorded an $800 million spike in warranty charges. Total quarterly costs climbed to between $1.5 and $2 billion. IDE analysis described the numbers as unprecedented. These were not routine fluctuations, they were the direct fallout of years of concealed defects and delayed corrections. Every suppressed test result became a future claim. Every rushed approval transformed into a repair bill Ford could not avoid. Executives attempted to reassure shareholders that the surge was temporary, but the numbers told a different story. The problem was compounding, not shrinking. At the same time, Ford's electric vehicle division, once seen as the company's path to reinvention, collapsed under its own weight. The electric and software arm lost more than $5 billion in 2024 alone. The year before delivered losses nearly as severe. Demand for the F-150 Lightning dropped sharply. Planned electric models were cancelled. Production slowed. While competitors rolled out dedicated platforms, Ford struggled with indecision and fragmented strategy. Chinese exports flooded global markets with lower-cost options, further weakening Ford's position. What should have been a rebirth became evidence of leadership confusion. Ford was bleeding from both sides, legacy failures and future missteps, and the pressure was mounting. Across the United States, Ford dealerships found themselves drowning in vehicles no one wanted. Inventory levels soared to an average of 96 days supply, far beyond the industry benchmark of roughly 60 days. Rows of new trucks and SUVs sat untouched for months, collecting dust while sales teams scrambled to offer incentives that cut deep into already fragile margins. Even Ford's most iconic models, including the F-Series trucks, faced extended overhangs. Customers hesitated, fearful of recalls and reliability issues. Dealers described the imbalance as the worst they had seen in decades. Unsold vehicles locked up capital, storage costs mounted, and discounting eroded profitability. But Ford's troubles did not stop at America's borders. In India, the company pushed oversized, fuel-hungry vehicles into a market that prioritized efficiency and affordability. The strategy failed, and Ford exited the country in 2021. In Brazil, billions were invested in manufacturing facilities that were later abandoned, leaving factories shuttered and communities disrupted. In Europe, layoffs affecting roughly 14% of the workforce followed slumping demand and shrinking margins. Each international retreat drained resources that could have stabilized operations at home. Instead of strengthening its core, Ford stretched itself thin across markets it could not sustain. These global miscalculations intensified the crisis, leaving the company financially exposed and strategically weakened. And as the world watched Ford struggle, regulators and lawmakers were preparing to step in, turning a corporate failure into a national reckoning. A corporate scandal becomes a national crisis the moment the public stops believing the company. For Ford, That moment arrived when regulators, employees, and customers all began turning away at the same time. What had started as a whistleblower's testimony now triggered a chain reaction that no amount of public relations could contain. Federal safety agencies opened inquiries into Ford's internal reporting practices, demanding records related to repeated failures across multiple truck generations. Lawmakers called for documentation that Ford had allegedly struggled to preserve. Committees requested testimonies from executives, engineers, and suppliers. Questions grew sharper with every hearing. Why were defects ignored? Who approved altered reports? And how long had management known the risks? The scandal quickly became a political weapon. Some officials framed Ford's crisis as proof of corporate negligence. Others used it to argue for tighter safety regulations and stronger reporting standards. Comparisons to earlier disasters, the Pinto fuel tank fires, the Explorer rollover controversies, resurfaced in headlines, reminding the public that this was not Ford's first reckoning with safety. Inside the factories, the atmosphere shifted from quiet frustration to open resistance. Employees who had witnessed warnings being dismissed now demanded accountability. Union leaders criticized management for forcing workers to build vehicles they no longer trusted. Rumors of plant shutdowns spread fear across the workforce. Meetings that once focused on productivity now centered on transparency and reform. Customers delivered the final blow. Longtime Ford loyalists walked away, choosing competitors they believed were safer. Dealerships reported buyers leaving mid-conversation after hearing about recalls. Trust collapsed faster than sales numbers. A legacy built over generations unraveled in months. Ford had not just lost control of the narrative, it had lost the faith of the people who made its success possible. Ford's collapse is not just a story about defective trucks, it is a warning about what happens when a company sacrifices integrity for speed, silence for profits, and trust for quarterly targets. The consequences reach far beyond one brand or one industry. They reshape how corporations are judged, how investors evaluate risk, and how consumers decide who deserves their loyalty. Across the auto industry, competitors reassessed their own systems, realizing that a single concealed failure could ripple through global markets. Investors rewrote their rules, demanding transparency that extended beyond financial performance to include safety culture and accountability. Regulators pushed for stricter oversight, recognizing that delayed action could cost lives. For American consumers, the meaning is deeply personal. A vehicle is not just a purchase, it is a promise of protection for families on the road. Ford's crisis shattered that promise. Buyers now scrutinize defect histories, safety records, and corporate ethics with a level of caution unseen in decades. Brand loyalty no longer outweighs trust. Communities built around Ford's factories face uncertainty. Workers brace for change, and the company itself must confront a future defined not by its heritage, but by the choices that led it here. This story will be studied in boardrooms, classrooms, and government halls as a lesson in how power erodes when accountability disappears. It shows that innovation without integrity is fragile, and that once trust breaks, rebuilding it takes far more than time. Ford's legacy was built on strength. Its future will depend on whether it can rebuild on honesty. And that is the real story behind the collapse. Once again, thanks for watching this video. If you got something out of this, hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next one. And hey, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Agree, disagree, or something in between. I'd love to hear it.